Hello everyone and welcome back to Lancaster. This episode we're going to be reviewing some matches I played on some of my guildmates accounts. Unfortunately I did not record while I was playing, so we're only going to be watching the replays. But I thought it might be interesting to see how I try and struggle with other people's accounts. So I played both Arth and Siuni, who were both started at 1600. And with Arth, I won 5 in a row, taking him up to a gold 2. And then Siuni, I played 4 matches. I lost the first one, and then I won the next 3 in a row. And I actually played 2 matches on my own account, which I've already uploaded, and then I ended up playing Arth and then Siuni. And I managed to convince him to put all the matches on their hero cards, so that's how we're going to be replaying. So first I'll probably go into the match and just talk about the box that I put together from the units that they had available, because obviously I didn't have everything built that I'm used to, at least not in the way I'm used to. So I go a very heavily AoE rush style. So generally my plan is going to be either first pick Luna or first pick Akka for mobility, and then just grab as many AoE units as possible and hope for the best with a few single target threats thrown in. Helena kind of works as AoE still because of her splash damage. But Kyra here is kind of... Bandbait is like a 5-star, so it's... I mean, it's still threatening with like Akka or Luna. But honestly, part of the reason I put her in is just to have another kind of off heal in case Juggler gets banned, because obviously a team like this doesn't have very much healing going on. Anyway, my plan in general at this point is not a lot of people seem to be banning the Dark Ham very early. This is a 4-star Ham, but even at 4 stars he's still very, very threatening. So my general game plan is usually probably to get a mobility buff, ban out healers, grab Wet Ham, continue to ban out healers, and then pick up someone with enough range to engage. Ares is great, Clotaire is great. Just get someone who can put some damage on the enemy team so Wet Ham can jump in and make a mess of things. That was my general goal with this box. And then obviously everyone else is just AoE damage follow-ups. But some of these matches ended up playing out a little bit differently than I expected them to. Alright, so let's see how this pick ban goes. So I have to deal with whatever is first banned, which happens to be Dark Ham. So Rosen is going to be my first ban for almost every single match whenever she's in the box. There will be an exception later that I made based on the box that I saw, and I'll explain that once we get to it. But for almost all of these matches, there's going to be a very common pick ban theme where I'm going to ban Rosen. A lot of times my opponents first pick Liana, which strikes me as a bit weird. I mean, I guess as player too, could be pretty strong, but honestly, because people keep running her with her 3C and Actigan, she's not quite as effective at healing people back from AoE damage as she is if she's being run with Prayer. So I actually find her post 3C less annoying to deal with. This map, I was thinking I wanted to test out his Juggler. So he just recently made this Cav Juggler, and its stats are honestly pretty bad. It's got a lot of HP bulk to it, but not a lot of defense or magic defense for damage. And its enchant is Thorns. So I was thinking, my own juggler is very highly statted for damage and is enchanted with magic, and basically any burn I've come across will get 2-shot by the combination of 3C followed up by Master of Ice. This juggler does not do nearly that amount of damage, but because it is Thorns, I was thinking maybe it's possible to get some damage on the opponent, and then when they try attacking the juggler, like what happens with mine, maybe Thorns will trigger, and with the opponent already being damaged and this one having a lot of HP in its enchants, maybe it'll just kill the opponent that way. Kind of a gambly way to play, but honestly, I was feeling like trying to box like this was going to be a gamble anyway. So this was my first match with this box, and I was also trying to feel out the strategy. I didn't really expect Akka or Luna to be banned too early, but if they were, then Juggler still gives me a good bit of mobility while slowing down most of the enemy team here. So they banned Luna and Lucretia. And there's the first pick, Leanna. So instead of banning out actual healers, I usually find it much more important at this stage to ban out both Juggler and Kyra. Obviously because they can heal after every single AoE. Alright, I don't remember who exactly I picked here. I think it might have been Ares. Let's see. Oh, I did pick Akka this match. Bans out SP Lana. I'm surprised at how high of a ban priority SP Lana seems to be. And of course, Kyra is serving as supreme ban bait. I don't understand why you would ban Kyra if you're going to pick Hilda. Because Kyra is going to have real trouble killing, especially like a Leanna, if Hilda's there to prevent crits. So that's sort of a weird pick ban decision on Rukid's part, but oh well, I don't mind. So I think at this point, my goal, I'm going to want to pick Ares, I think is going to be my next pick. So I believe I would be banning Licorice and Oldius here. Yep. Yep, there's the Ares pick. Bans Clotaire and Varna. Picks Luke. Alright, now I think I'd want to get rid of T-Jess and SP Cherry. SP Cherry because she ignores terrain, so Juggler can't slow her down with Master of Ice, and she can just go up and kill him. And then presumably act again and kill something else. And then T-Jess is just one of the few units that he has left who can provide some sort of healing. So I believe that would be my next ban. Yep. And I pick Bozo here. Partly because I don't really feel all that great about any of these other picks here. I mean, Burn would have been decent. But I think my thought process was with a 2-move from Akka for 2 turns, Bozo will be able to get in. And Liana's 3C can only protect 2 people, so someone is gonna be eating a lot of debuffs on this opponent's team. So I thought he'd be a good pick here. So now he plays his ham, and I'm left with Helena and Florentia, and I believe I'm gonna pick Florentia here. Like 9 times out of 10. A 5th pick Florentia is generally a very good thing for me. And I'm probably also thinking at this point I'm going to act again Bozel to get him in early. And start spreading debuff cancer right away. Alright, out of these, I think the debuffers, Bozel and Kruger, would be the most threatening. Both of these are infantry. I've got 2 calves, so I'm not too worried about them. Yes, Burn does provide faction buff for these 2, but I don't see that as a huge issue. So, I'm willing to bet I ban these 2 out and pick Flo. And he picks Burn. So Juggler, like I said, he's got pretty decent HP, especially for like not blood pack. But the defensive stats are pretty lacking, so his attack's going to be fairly low. To try to help with that, I did bring Mass Resist on Florentia with the idea that she could get the Mass Resist 30% magic defense buff to help out his offensive output. But as I recall this match, it didn't ever come into play. Oh, and this match did teach me something else, because this Akka has a very special accessory on that's currently level 20, and I learned something about it. Bozel, I'm expecting him to take 2 turns to be able to get into position to engage, so I've got his faction buff, so he can buff himself up with the first move, and then have a big powerful AoE on the second move. Alright, so I open up with Akka, just to buff everyone's movement. Right, so Wet Ham does the debuff. And then here's what I learned. Level 20 Goddess tier only cleanses debuff from 1 person. So Florentia still has her passive block, which is unfortunate. But it's a learning experience, and after this match I actually raised the Goddess tier up to, I think it was level 40. Maybe I raised all the way to level 50, but it's enough so I wasn't worried about even a 6-star ham will only hit with 3 debuffs, so I think level 40 is enough to clear away all of these stacks. But anyway, as it is, Florentia still has this. That's annoying to me. I think at this point I basically jump in with Juggler right away after he moves. So he puts up guard. Yep, Juggler goes in. Now, even with the crit, that's pretty lacking in damage. His attack is only 1600. Part of that is because Burn's aura is reducing his defense. As you can see, it's yellow, so I guess seeing he's getting 15% from gear and then Burn's aura is removing that 15%, so it's exactly at his default. My Juggler at this point, I believe, in the same situation would have about 2000 attack. And Burn, instead of having 70% HP, would probably have more like 40%. So when I saw this damage, I actually felt it was pretty disappointing. Something else, I forgot to set Master of Ice instead of B-Shock, but that actually ended up being useful on this particular fight. You'll see why in a little bit. So I spray the AoE damage and then I run him back onto tower. Yana does the 3C on the ham. And I believe that was a Tenyo Breeze. Yeah, he got a Tenyo Breeze on Luke. So I'm thinking maybe send Ares in, try to kill this bird and do as much damage to this ham as possible. Crits the ham, doesn't get a crit on burn. And burn is just barely alive with 183. So that was slightly upsetting, but only slightly. He's already moved his healer, so Holy Luke will probably have Gift of Eternal Life to heal him up a little bit. Yep, but because he was so low, that actually leaves Wet Ham with only 3,500 left. And Wet Ham also happens to be in AoE range of someone. So Ares pulling units forward and then that resulting in them being in follow-up range for other units is a tactic you'll find me using quite a bit. It's honestly very good if you have Wet Ham on your party too, because then you can pull the opponent's units into Wet Ham's 3C range and then teleport and get off his combo. So I whip out the 3C and it takes Letham out. And I had been thinking I was going to act against Bozel, but because I had B-Shock, I realized I had an opportunity here. So I act against Juggler. He runs his burn up the faction buff. Then I move Bozel forward, faction buff. And then I B-Shock this Liana. And I lock his Luke into place. So now his Luke can't really do anything and Bozel's coming in and starting the AoE party. And that's GG. Alright, my second match was against the real Joker, who is a main chord regular. This time I'm player 2. Once again, first ban Rosen. I believe I have leveled the goddess tier at this point for Akka. And then I think this match is actually gonna expose me to another gear shortcoming of this party. So he bans Wet Ham. Also first picks Liana. So at this point, I believe I'm gonna first ban either Juggler Sage or Juggler Flow. I think it's gonna be Juggler and Sage. And I think I pick Luna first here. Yep. He bans Lana and Kyura. Once again, another Kyura ban, only to pick up Hilda. So it doesn't really make much sense to me. But I appreciate it because Kyura is honestly not fitting in with my playstyle of what this box is meant to do. Right now I believe I'm gonna ban Tejas and Flo. Potentially Cherry. Yep, Flo and Cherry. So I leave Tejas. Then I pick up Lucretia. He bans out Juggler and Burn. Plays Helena. Alright, I think at this point I'm trying to get rid of Long Legs, which is why the Ares and Elwyn ban happens here. See, and at this point, this map, I don't know if I would be banning or if I would be playing a unit like... I'm definitely not playing Akka here. I don't know if I would be playing Helena at all. I think it would either be Ares or Clotaire. Ares would be slightly limited by the fact that there's no mobility buff that he could really take advantage of on this map. So I think it's going to be Clotaire. They get rid of Bozo Ares. Pick up their burn. And at this point, I believe I'm going to get rid of T-Jess and Lucretia. And I think I pick Flo here for the mass attack. Oh, Varna for mass attack. That makes sense, actually. Then they get rid of Flo Helena, so I'm going to pick Shelf because I'm definitely not picking Akka in this situation. So I used a bunch of this Arth's mats to build Bolt Rangers to max because he didn't actually have those built beforehand. But we're going to learn about the second gear shortcoming I found out right after this. So he sets up Kruger's 3C on my Lucretia. And here I'm thinking I'm going to get a damage bonus on Shelf. And I don't, which means it's not unique and it's not King's Crown, so I don't know what it is. Funnily enough, I actually think that might have worked to my advantage in this particular match, because I think the smaller extra mobility aura, also using a teddy bear by the way, but I think the smaller mobility aura actually worked to my advantage with certain units on this map, enabling them to have the free Luna move onto certain tiles, like the tower and tree, that otherwise with the Luna unique, they might not have had a free move onto them. But regardless, this is another gear situation that made me realize I hadn't checked everything yet. Okay, so I go forward and buff. He moves Hilda forward. So I'm thinking my options are, I can now black hole right away and hit these three. Or I could probably buff up with Varna mass attack and see if he pulls some more units forward first. So I decide to buff up with Varna. And then he moves Burn. Now, something I've noticed when fighting Helena is if you're going to get an AoE off with someone like Clotaire, you really want to do it before she moves and gets her regen up from her tiles as well as the extra damage reduction. So now I'm thinking I'm going to go in with Clotaire and then follow up with Black Hole afterward. And she can use Sanction on Burn because she can reach tower. Alright, so even though I'm not hitting Liana here, I'm still able to hit these four. And that's what I really care about right now. Once again, Liana running 3C is not great at AoE healing. So both Burn and Helena are critically low. I'm surprised at how low Helena is actually, but I guess her magic defense is just extremely low. Alright, so I go forward and I black hole. And that takes out Burn and leaves Kruger critical point. He moves forward with Helena, but Helena takes so much fixed damage. She dies on the counter and Clotaire ends up living. So all I have to do is move forward. Hopefully Mass Attack prevents me from getting silenced. Puppet gets silenced, but no one else does. And I can bring Varna in to finish off Krieger. And then with the rest of my AoEs, well, Liana dies right there, but even if she lived, I had Shelf to follow up, I had another Luke to follow up, so she was going to die. So that was another quick match. My third was against An Choi Pro, or I think I called him Anchovies when I first fought him. Once again, I'm player 2. First ban Rosen. He first bans Akka. And first pick Liana. This first pick Liana is just very, very common to see in a situation like this, and against a full AoE party, I'm not certain bringing 3C is a good idea, but people kept doing it. Right, so once again, I'm going to ban out Juggler, and I'm not seeing another healer, so it's going to be Juggler Sage is my guess. I'm going to pick Luna for the movement buff, because Akka was banned. Right, he bans Clotaire and the Ham. Picks Hilda. So Tejas. Oh, this time I'm going, because it's Luna and she has to move forward for people to benefit from her aura, I'm eliminating long single target range. So that's why Ares and Helena had to go. Now in this situation, I think I'm gonna pick up either Ares or Juggler. Maybe Luke. Alright, so I pick up Ares. He bans SP Lana and Elna. I'm kind of surprised SP Lana gets banned before Luke does. And he plays Burn. I'm probably gonna get rid of Flo and either Tejas or Luke. So Flo and Tejas go. And here I play Juggler. I believe this is in response to Burn being picked. It's not just type effectiveness, although it does provide some damage increase, but this is not a very strong damaging Juggler. I believe my thought process was more along the lines of most of the rest of these units are gonna get hampered by Juggler's water. So she can 3C and protect one other unit besides herself from that effect. But the water effect is going to severely slow down the rest of their party. So they ban Varna Flo. They pick up Werner. So I'm probably going to ban out Himiko and Luke. Landius I'm not worried about, and Zerida takes time to set up, whereas I'm playing Rush, so if they have a setup that takes time, I don't mind that at all. So Himiko and Luke go. I pick Bozel thinking, well, there's a Werner who can have extremely long range, but he can't do anything against Bozel if I bring Stone Colossus troops on Bozel, and Stone Colossus get to benefit from Luna's movement. So that's why I picked Bozel here. And he bans Lucretia Kyura, so I believe I'm going to be picking Shelf here. There's the Zerida pick. And I pick up Shelf. So once again, there's 3C, act again, and heal. Liana will prove to not be able to keep up with AoE healing, is what I'm thinking. This Zerda is going to take 2 turns to be fully prepared to strike, so that gives me plenty of time to get in. I've got Heaven's Guard on Ares, so he gets to benefit from Luna's movement aura twice. So all in all, I'm going to be playing this very, very aggressively. Alright, I did put her unique on, so I fixed her gear now. Let's see. I forget if I jump in now. I think I move Bozel first and then I wait for Liana to move before I fully commit to the jump. Alright, so he runs Hilda forward, I presume, to block people from coming down the middle. The thing is, it's not going to stop Ares from just going through her, nor is it going to stop Juggler from jumping over her. And it's not even really blocking Shelf from approaching either, so I don't really think that move did anything. But after this, I believe what I'm thinking is I could go in with Ares, and I might be able to kill this burn with a melee attack, and then suck Zerda and Liana forward within range to get locked down by Juggler, and then have Bozel do some fun stuff the next turn. Oh, I jumped first. I think I'm trying to bait out the heal from Liana first. Also, I make a slight mistake here. So I moved Juggler down here, but I forgot with Warner's movement buff, there's still one tile up here Zerda can reach that's out of range. If I had stopped here, there could have been no tile that Zerda could run to and still gain hide and seek. But because of this, Zerda is going to be able to run away. I was thinking to pull her forward, but this ended up happening. Burn lives, and my Ares died on the attack. So that dashed my plan a little bit. And I just run her forward. Fortunately, I get the big crown AoE movement buff. So first he opens up by healing on burn. And I'm thinking, I've got big AoE party versus their team. If I get rid of their healing, then they're gonna get worn down. So I'm gonna B-Shock Liana, taking her out. And then I can use the B-Shock effect to lock Zerda into place. He rams Shelf back, presumably trying to keep her out of the action. So I just move forward a little bit. He does a shield bash with burn, but doesn't take Juggler out. Nor does it strip the B-Shock effect, so Zerda is still stuck. Now with Luna move forward, Bozel can also come in and get his 3C off and hit everyone. So I knew this kill was coming, but with how Fog works, Zerda was dead anyway. And I just burn a quick Heaven Sanction, getting some damage on Hilda, just trying to keep her from being able to just getting her health whittled down, basically. Right, so then the turn, he moves Werner, so I have turn priority. So I open with Bozal logically. Now his entire team is silenced. He goes and kills Shelf, but I think in the end it's gonna turn into a okay, Bozo was out of range, that's why you attacked Luna. I was mostly just thinking, in the end, Luna's gonna be able to hunt this Warner down with the map shrinking, and that's how I'll be able to win. But Bozo finishes off, Hilda gets a very helpful silence, so he can't do his defensive stance. And he just ends up being forced to run away. Alright, there's 2 matches left for Arth, and 4 matches to watch on Siuni, so total of 9 matches. I think I'm going to break the episode here, take a small break, and then record the next episode. So next episode I'm probably going to cover these 2 matches and then my initial match on the Siuni account. But that covers the first 3 wins here, so I hope you enjoyed watching and seeing me go over my thought process for each match. And I hope to see you back again next episode. See you later.